Hello my lovelies. Today I'm gonna be making a new video about this book that you probably remember if you have followed my channel at least a little bit longer. It's the book The Boy in the Dress. If you want to know what's actually going on in this book, I recommend you watch the previous parts I've made about this book. This is the 6th video I'm making about this book. So yeah. Oh no, sorry about that. I'm just gonna start reading now. So yeah. We are now in the chapter 12 called Another World. Chapter 12, Another World. I'm still worried about these shoes, said Dennis. They're fine. You can't even tell they're extra wides. It was Monday morning, and Lisa and Dennis stood outside the school gates. Dennis was dressed as Denise again, in the orange dress he loved so much. Maybe it was the sequins, or maybe it was his nerves, but he was sweating. I can't do it, said Dennis. It'll be fine, assured Lisa in hushed tones as pupils and teachers made their way into school. You won't have to say much. No one here can speak French. They can barely speak English. Dennis was too tense to laugh at Lisa's joke. Fooling Raj and Mac was one thing, but the whole school, someone's bound to recognize me. They won't. You look so different. No one in a million years is going to think you're Dennis. Not so loud. Sorry. Look, trust me. No one's going to have a clue as to who you are, but we could just go home instead. Dennis thought for a moment. No, that would be the boring thing to do. Lisa simply smiled. Dennis smiled back and sashayed into the playground. Lisa had to quicken her face. Calm down, said Lisa. You're a French exchange student, not a supermodel. Sorry, désolé. I can't pronounce these French words. I'm sorry. Some of the kids stopped and stared. The boys always stared at Lisa anyway, because she was so wildly attractive. And the girls liked to check out what she was wearing, even the jealous ones who invented reasons not to like her. But now she was with this new girl, not wearing a school uniform. There was even more reason to look. Dennis could sense all those eyes on him and loved it. He spotted Darvish waiting for him outside the classroom, as he always did. Sometimes they would have a Sometimes they would have a quick kickabout before the bell rang. Darvish scrutinized Dennis for a moment, then looked away. Wow, thought Dennis. Even my best friend doesn't recognize me. Lisa's classroom was on the top floor of the main school building. Although John was in the same year as Lisa, he wasn't in the same class. And kids 2 years older than Dennis didn't know him, just as he didn't know them. So, Dennis had never met most of the people in Lisa's class. In a school of nearly 1,000 pupils, it was very easy to feel anonymous. Unless, of course, you were unutterably gorgeous like Lisa, or had once put your willy in a test tube in the middle of a chemistry lesson, like Rory Malone. By the time they reached the classroom, the bell had already rung. They entered just as Lisa's form teacher, Miss Burslow, was calling the register. Miss Burslow was a well-liked PE teacher, even though she had quite bad breath. It was school legend that her breath had once broken a window in the staff room, but only the new kids tended to believe it. Steve Connor? Here. Mac Cribbins? Here. Louis Dale? Yep. Laura Douglas? Here. And Lisa James? You are late. Sorry, miss. Who is this with you? Asked the teacher. It's my French exchange student, Miss Denise. I wasn't told anything about this, said Miss Burslow. Oh, were you not? Sorry, I did clear it with Hawtrey. Mr. Hawtrey, Lisa, chided Miss Burslow. Sorry, Mr. Hawtrey, the headmaster bloke. I cleared it with him. Miss Burslow rose from her chair and approached the new arrival. As she scrutinized Dennis, she breathed over him slightly. That does smell bad, thought Dennis. A sort of mixture of cigarettes, coffee, and poo. He held his breath. He could feel himself sweating profusely now. He feared his makeup was going to melt and start collecting in a puddle on the floor. There was silence for a moment. Lisa smiled. Miss Burslow smiled back. Finally. Well, that's fine then, she said. Denise, please take a seat. Welcome to the school. Merci beaucoup, said Dennis. He and Lisa sat down together. Miss Burslow continued to read out the register. Lisa reached for Dennis's hand under the desk. She squeezed it softly to say, "Don't worry." Dennis held onto her hand and squeezed it back, just because it felt nice. As they made their way down the corridor to Lisa's history class, Mac huffed and puffed his way to catch up with them. "Hi, girls." "Oh, hi, Mac." I can't remember what kind of voice I did for Mac before, so I'm just gonna come up with something. "Oh, hi, Mac," said Lisa. "How's the diet coming along?" "Slowly," said Mac, as he unwrapped the Twix. "Bonjour, Denise," Mac offered nervously. "Bonjour again." "Bonjour again, Mac," replied Dennis. I was just... You'll probably say no, but if you weren't doing anything after school with Lisa, I was wondering if you might like to come and get an ice cream or two with me. Dennis looked at Lisa with panic. Lisa took over. "You know what, Mac? Denise and I have already made plans for after school, but I know she'd really love to. Maybe next time she's over, okay?" Mac looked disappointed, but not heartbroken. Dennis was impressed by how tactfully Lisa had turned him down on his behalf. Maybe I'll see you again later, then," said Mac. He smiled shyly and overtook them, munching on his Twix and unwrapping a walnut whip as he went. Lisa waited until he was out of earshot before saying, "He really fancies you." "Oh no," said Dennis. "Don't worry, it's cool," said Lisa. "It's great, in fact. It must mean you're very convincing as a girl." She laughed. "That's not funny." "Yes, it is," she replied and laughed again. The first lesson of the day, geography, passed without incident. Though Dennis didn't think his newfound knowledge of Oxbow Lakes would ever be of use in the adult world. Unless, of course, he wanted to be a geography teacher. He got away with it in the second lesson too, physics, magnets and iron filings. Fascinating. Dennis hadn't understood this subject as a boy and understood it even less as a girl. He was quickly learning that, it was best to remain silent in class. Remember to cross your legs when you are wearing a dress, and most importantly, don't catch the boys' eyes, as you might be more attractive than you thought. The bell rang again, not a moment too soon. It was break time. I need to go to the loo, said Dennis, with a sense of urgency. I do too, said Lisa. Let's go together. Lisa took Dennis's hand, and they went through the door of the girls' toilet and into another world. Boys treated the boys' room as a purely functional place. You did something what you needed to do, maybe wrote something rude about Mr. Hawtrey on the toilet door, and then you left. Inside the girls' room, it was like a party. It was rammed. Dozens of girls competed for space around the mirrors, while others chat to their neighbors in the next cubicles. Here's actually a picture of the girls. Can you see it? I don't know if this is focused. Can you see? Lisa and Jenny joined a queue for one of the toilets. Dennis wasn't used to queuing, how do you say that? But found that he loved it. Listening to all the girls chatter to each other and then bustle around each other seemed so new. Without the presence of boys, girls seemed to behave so differently. They talked and laughed and shared everything. The giggles, the glitter, the glamorous makeup. What a perfect world it was. Lisa touched up her lipstick. She was about to put her makeup bag away when she paused. Do you want me to do yours too? She asked. Oh, I forgot Lisa's voice. Do you want me to do yours too? She asked. Oh, yes, please. Oh, yes, please, said Dennis in his best French accent. I can't do a French accent, I'm sorry. Let me see, said Lisa, reaching into her bag. Maybe we should try a different lipstick color. I've got a lovely pink one here, Lisa, chirped one of the girls. I just bought this new eyeshadow, said another. Before Dennis could say anything, all these girls were fussing around him, helping to apply lip liner, foundation, blusher, eyeliner, mascara, lipstick, everything. Dennis hadn't been so happy in years. All these girls chatting to him, making him feel special. He was in heaven. Let's read another chapter, shall we? Chapter 13. Double French. This is hell, whispered Dennis. Shush, said Lisa. You didn't tell me you had French today. I forgot. You forgot, said Dennis. Shh, and actually, it's double French. Double French. Bonjour, la classe, said Miss Windsor loudly as she entered. Dennis prayed she wouldn't recognize him from the detention. Oh, I'm messing up with words. Bonjour, Mademoiselle Windsor, said the class in unison. Miss Windsor always started the classes in French. It gave the false impression that the pupils were all fluent French speakers. Suddenly, she spotted the girl in the orange dress and all the makeup. Miss Windsor couldn't fail to notice her, really. Miss Windsor couldn't... I was starting to read the same sentence for the second time. Sorry. She stood out like a disco ball in the gloom of the classroom. And again, here's French, and I don't speak French. Et qui êtes-vous? She inquired. Dennis sat frozen with fear, with a terrible feeling he was about to throw up or pee, or both simultaneously, if that was at all possible. Frustrated by the lack of response, Miss Windsor abandoned the French speaking as she usually had to within a few seconds of entering the classroom and continued in English. "Who are you?" she repeated. Still, Dennis sat in silence. Everyone looked at Lisa. She gulped. She's my German pen pal, miss," she said. "I thought you said she was French," said Mac innocently, his voice slightly muffled by the roller he was chewing. "Oh yes, sorry. French pen pal. Thanks, Mac," said Lisa pointedly. She shot him an angry look and he frowned, looking hurt and baffled. Miss Winter's face instantly glowed with joy. She hadn't smiled so much since winning her campaign for the school canteen to serve baguettes at lunchtime. And here's a very, very long French text. And like I said, I do not speak French, so I'm probably not gonna read it because it's like from here to here. So I'm not gonna read it, I'm just gonna skip it. Yeah. So, and yeah, it will be explained what she said, so it doesn't matter because probably not many of you speak French, so yeah, it's a long text. I'm just gonna read now. Like everyone in the class, and indeed like most people reading this book, except for the exceptionally clever or French ones, Dennis had absolutely no idea what Miss Windsor was going on about. I don't know either. I had to get a friend who passed their French GCSE to translate it for me. Basically though, Miss Windsor is delighted to have a real French person in her class and is asking lots of questions about life in France. I hope so anyway, unless my friend is playing a horrible joke on me and Miss Windsor is talking about her favorite episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants or something. Oui? Said Dennis, hoping that by simply saying yes, he couldn't get himself into too much trouble. Unfortunately, Miss Windsor became even more animated and led Dennis up to the front of the class, still declaiming excitedly in French. And again, here's more French. Gonna skip it. Dennis stood still in front of everyone. Lisa looked like she wanted to shout out and help, but couldn't make a sound. Dennis felt as if he was underwater or in a dream. He looked out into the eerie stillness of the room. Everyone stared at him. Nothing moved except Mac's jaws. Rollers are extremely chewy. "May I speak in English for one moment?" asked Dennis in a tentative French accent. Miss Windsor looked a little surprised and a lot disappointed. "Yes, of course. How can I put this, how you say, politely? Poliment, oui. Madame Windsor," continued Dennis. "Your friend's accent is very poor, and I am very sorry, but I cannot understand anything you are saying." Someone always stops me when I'm recording, so I made a cup of tea a while ago. It's just gonna be there. Let's continue reading. Some of the pupils laughed cruelly. A single tear appeared in Miss Windsor's eye and rolled down her cheek. "Are you all right, miss? Do you need a tissue?" asked Lisa before shooting Dennis a furious look. No, I'm perfectly fine, thank you, Lisa. I've just got something in my eye, that's all." Miss Windsor stood there, swaying like she had been shot, but hadn't quite fallen to the floor yet. Why don't you all get on with some private reading? I just need to step outside to get some air for a moment." She toddled uncertainly out of the classroom as if the bullet was slowly making its way to her heart. She closed the door behind her. for a moment. There was a silence. Then, from outside the classroom, they heard a huge wail. Ah! Okay, I can't do screaming with ASMR. But yeah, it's basically just, yeah. Then silence again. Another wail. A little more silence, and then an even longer one. Just pretend that you hear it. Yeah, it's really long, you see. And there's a picture of Miss Windsor. It goes on this whole page. The mouths of those pupils who had laughed now closed tight with regret. Lisa looked at Dennis, who bowed his head. He returned to his seat, scraping his high heels along the floor sorrowfully. A few more seconds passed like hours before Miss Windsor returned to the classroom. Her face was red and puffy from crying. Right, good. Turn to page 58 in your textbooks and answer questions A, B, and C. The pupils all began their work, more silent and compliant than they had ever been before. Would you like a Rolo, miss? Ventured Mac. No one was more aware of the momentary comfort chocolate could give in moments of despair. No, thank you, Mac. I don't want to spoil my lunch. It's bugging. She started crying uncontrollably again. And that was it. I'm gonna have to stop now because I'm running out of space in my camera. But I hope you enjoyed this once again, and please tell me if you did, and I'll be sure to make another one of these videos again in the future, and I will see you guys hopefully soon.